What's a genuine question you have that Google can't seem to answer but maybe somebody on Reddit can? Sometimes, when I'm falling asleep, I get this weird sense that I'm tiny inside my body but my hands and arms feel ginormous. I've always wondered if anyone else has ever experienced this, knew what the heck this strange phenomenon was called, or if anyone could explain why this happens. Here lately I've been adding Reddit to the end of my search on Google and I tend to find the answer I'm looking for much easier. Saw a Japanese cartoon once about a girl who had some small animal on her shoulder. She had to save the world from a red demon monster. She was assisted by huge creatures that looked like potato bugs, roly-poly, pill bugs, that had like 20 eyes that were normally blue, but turned red if angry. I'd love to see it again. Can't find it. Makes me feel like I hallucinated the whole thing. Anyone know? Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Is there a name for when a song has a, usually long, title that has nothing to do with the song itself? As in, doesn't relate to the subject matter of the song, isn't a lyric, etc. Yes, it's called a Fall Out Boy. Why does one of my cats lick the other but refuse to be licked back? I think it's because she's in butthole but Google won't confirm it. Cats groom each other to establish dominance, so your cat is telling the other cat she is the alpha, and her say goes. How come is it that can you go an entire day holding your pee in with little discomfort but as soon as you put your key into your front door you've got to squeeze for all you're worth to keep the floodgates from opening? I think you start to relax, because your brain knows that you'll be able to pee soon. Some Pavlovian stuff I guess. Why don't fast food places have sauce menus? They're just like, what 17 sauces do you want with that, and stare at you. Chick-fil-A lists them at the bottom of the drive-thru menu. That's how I discovered their sriracha sauce. Spoiler, it's amazing. How do people cut their nails in jail? Do they give you scissors, clippers? Do you need to do it under supervision? Do you bite your nails? I've tried to look for an answer on Google but with little luck. Hey, a question I can answer. Currently a CEO in Ontario, Canada. There are specific days where staff are issued nail clippers for inmates. Just like razors, an inmate will request the clippers. You note who requested it and when. The condition of the clippers going into the area. Similarly, you note when it gets returned, what time and the condition. If it goes missing, you know who to pin it on. So there's this picture that is one of the default wallpapers that comes with Windows 10. Has a green tent pitched out in the forest with a shot of the Milky Way in the sky. Anyone know where this was taken? Spent a couple hours searching the other day but just couldn't find out. What movie does the quote "come on gypsies, let's ride" come from? Had a teacher in high school who used it and said we would never find it. Do all people as they grow older eventually start to hear phantom sounds like whooshing, whining or ringing? Is it natural with aging? Or just some people get it no matter what age? Like tinnitus. It is likely a type of tinnitus. Unless you're hearing your pulse, take your pulse to check. Not everyone experiences it. Try to avoid loud noises and protect the remnants of your hearing. Why do some instruments have to transpose while others don't? Why didn't they just name the sound of a concert C instead of transposing? I can do this weird thing. I honestly can't explain it any better than I can make myself feel like I'm being electrocuted falling. All I have to do is concentrate and I can make it happen. Does anyone have an idea of what this thing I have is called? I can vibrate my eardrums to the point I don't have to plug my ears to drown out the voice of people talking to me. Overuse and long-term use are what concern me though. There's a song, maybe by Bright Eyes, with a lyric along the lines of "you're mad at me for the things I did in your dreams," or "I want to say sorry for the things I did in your dreams." Google cannot help me. I just want to listen to the song. You Ripvan Fish did it. Trusted, Ben Folds. Thank you everyone. If you fart in a jar, seal it up really tight, and put it away on a shelf, would you be able to smell the fart if you opened the jar a month later, 1 year, 10 years? Does anyone have any information about Project Oregon Trail, a classified war game scenario from the 60s that led the Pentagon to conclude that massive retaliation was a doomed scenario and thusly led to the third offset and airland battle doctrine? I only know it exists because it slipped out in a think tank talk about airland battle that I watched, and it's literally impossible to find anything about it because 1. It's a classified nuclear war game scenario, and 2. Google is full to the fricking brim with results about the proto role-playing game. I really want to know what the analysis said. There was a video of a greasy old man pulling his mouth open to make this hideous goat noise. My husband and I can no longer find it. Can you? Reddit? What language consumes the fewest calories? For example, if reading War and Peace out loud in English burned 1000 calories, would reading it out loud in Spanish, word for word, burn 1300 calories? What is the actual object that is used to make the bite sound in cartoons? All I've ever seen was some reference to Foley sounds, not the actual thing used. How do I make word art like in the 2007 version of Word on the 2013 version? I miss a great rainbow word art from my childhood. Why does my cat demand running water in the bathroom sink to pee and poop? Google has left me feeling alone with my weird, water-obsessed cat. She always has clean, fresh kitty litter which she'll use if we aren't around. But when we're home she'll meow at us until we turn the water on for her. Please tell me she's not the only one. How does eating specific protein supplements like collagen help with specific things like hair and nail growth? Don't all proteins that we eat get broken down into individual amino acids, or tripeptides at most, before being absorbed anyway? How old is too old to consider trying to be a runner or a PA on a film set in order to open a door to your dream career path? Asking for a friend, of course. If you are fine making a lot less money than you presently do, then it's never too late. I once read that there is a term for how certain words gradually become offensive if they are used to describe, for example, people with mental problems. Originally words like idiot and retarded were not offensive. They were medical terms for someone with limited cognitive function. But eventually people start using those terms as insults, and so you have to change the medical term, because it's weird to call someone with Down syndrome an idiot. What's the term for this? It can probably be googled, but I've tried with no luck. What was the alcohol percentage of ancient Greek wines? There was this amazing looking programming language down off on Reddit once where the documentation is the code. It was a fancy looking web-based editor. I'm wondering what it was called, and how it is going. A British TV commercial back in the early 2000s, possibly late 90s. The setting is two guys sitting on a bench, one speaking English and a Finnish guy not understanding and simply repeating Finland over and over again. I can't for the life of me remember what it was advertising, and Google is failing me when I look for it. Any help? Okay, here we go. Why can't human babies do anything at all? All other animal babies that I can think of can at least do something. Many can walk soon after being born, but I understand why humans can't, because that is complicated. Human babies can't crawl either, which is still understandable but a little less acceptable. They can't roll over, which is just getting suspicious at this point. But the real kicker is that they can't even lift their own head up. What kinda nonsense is that? As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, 8 babies can at least grab onto their mother while she's walking around. Human babies scream and cry constantly, and I have never seen an 8 baby do such a thing. Which means that at some point we split off and human babies became worse, or 8 babies became better. Imo. Not to offend any babies around here, but human babies are literally the worst in terms of usefulness out of all the animals as far as I know. Somebody please explain. Or if you can't explain, then at least tell me about a different animal baby that's worse. Apart from Macau, where can one get free money from the government? I am asking this because Macau's government gives everyone $10,000 this year. Alaska. Haven't checked this century yet, but they used to give every resident a certain amount of money from their oil revenue each year. I'm nearsighted. How come objects in my rearview mirrors are blurry as if they're far away without my glasses when the reflection itself is close to me? Because the light that's entering your eye is traveling from the object to the mirror, and then to your eye, unlike a TV screen, in which the light is traveling just between the screen and your eyes. If you have had a stroke, why are you now considered more likely higher risk to have another stroke? Are there any surviving pieces of ancient Greek clothing still around? I have tried googling variations of this question, but I can't seem to find an answer. Can somebody freaking explain where the wild things are? Cheese and rice, that crap just weirds me out when he is attacking the dog in the beginning. This doesn't answer the question but related. I had a couple of steer calves that had warts on their scrotums a few weeks ago, so sweet little innocent me wanted to Google it just to see if other people had this issue, what they did, etc. Well, if you Google things along the lines of steer scrotal warts or something like that, you end up getting unwanted genital wart pictures of men. So many accidental dong pics. We ended up taking them to the vet to have them removed, but Google failed me that time, lol. Why is it that a HDMI connector is either an output or input but never both? In what ways is something like an USB connector different? I've been looking for the theme song of Star Trek TNG played at half speed. Last I heard it was for some awards ceremony. Can't find it anywhere, not even YouTube. Although I found one played at 400% slower. It's not the same. What does the Portuguese word, not sure on spelling, "cudiste" mean? It's usually used as an exclamation, like how we would say "oh frick." My family uses it all the time, but no one can answer when asked the actual meaning. When you read a newspaper, you tend to believe all the stories. If there was a story about you, you would know the bits that are false and get peered the paper for being so inaccurate. But as soon as you turn the page, you go back to assuming the words are all accurate. I read once on here that this is a known thing, a phenomenon maybe, or some sort of bias, but I don't know if it has a name. At the Olympics and World Cup, there always seems to be somebody in the crowd waving an Israeli flag when the camera comes near them, regardless of whether there is an Israeli athlete or team playing. Most often there is no Israeli participation in the event. Why is that? Is he a professional flag waver? Same reason that there is always some guy waving a Palestinian flag. They have very spread diaspora and they want to raise awareness and support on the biggest TV audience in the world. And people often buy tickets for events in advance and their athletes don't make it, or they are participants' families with tickets for that day. Can medications for back pain, especially NSAIDs, cause medication overuse, rebound, headaches if I take them when I have a headache? How do 9-banded armadillos mate? I read that they are the only animals other than humans and bonobos that mate in the missionary position. But when I tried to confirm that, I ended up in a big loop. All the published sources for this information led back to an article called "Armadillos Make Me Smile a Lot" in the Audubon Journal. I called the author and he said he got this information the same place I did. A random leaflet a leper had collected that is now on display at the National Hanson's Museum, a previous leper colony. I called the San Diego Zoo. I called research labs. No one seems to have ever seen a 9-banded armadillo mate. It's been 4 years since I first went down this rabbit hole, and I still Google it sometimes to see if there is any new published info, but all I can ever find is that fact without good sources, and pictures and video of 6-banded armadillos mating. People from Middle Eastern countries and read right to left. Whenever you come to places that read left to right, do you forget about that and try to read stuff like you would back home? I've asked this on Reddit before and googled it several times with no luck. Apparently the Japanese have a word which describes the feeling of regret and disappointment you get when you're at a restaurant. The food arrives, and you see that you'd prefer to have the food that someone else ordered. I read about this in one of those in-flight magazines from Japan Airlines on my way to Japan in early 2009. The article was about words which only exist in one language, like the Norwegian word for shoving someone's face in the snow. What defines a biscuit in the UK? It's not always a cookie, not always a cracker, and never the Southern American bread thing. This is actually a good question. I mean, our AskReddit seems to have gotten so far into memes and surveys that simple questions people on Reddit could ask, and would like to ask, don't get asked here. Why is that? AskReddit. Because karma can be exchanged for goods and services. Wait. God, I have had this question saved in my head for ages and I could never find the answer I was looking for. Today is hopefully the day I get my answer. So, why does music sound slower after working out? Almost every time I've had a good workout, music afterward just comes off as if it were going 0.25x slower than before. Is this a thing? Or am I just crazy? If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.